Hello friends, it's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums today with another tarot spreads video. So today I wanted to do just a 6-card spread. It doesn't really have like a name or anything that I've used for it. So if you're kind of like, what's the name on this one? I'm gonna just call it a 6-card spread. I think it's good for just kind of connecting to like whatever may be going on with you. It's funny, I always get the priestess popping out at me. And I'm going to be using my Magpie Tarot deck. So I'm going to just talk about why I think that this is a good spread to have in your arsenal, especially if you are maybe wanting to do a little bit of personal development. Maybe you have a lot of stuff kind of going on. I know 6-card spreads can be a little bit overwhelming, but if you take it one step at a time and then just kind of look at what the story is telling you, it can really help you feel a little bit more confident with larger card spreads. So the very first card is going to be you. So we have the Wise One. It's almost going to look very like Celtic Cross-y. So it's almost going to be like the first 6 cards of the Celtic Cross. Now this is one of the things I've talked about with the Celtic Cross, is that you can split it up into 2 readings, which is like the base and then the tower, which is going to be the last 4 cards. But I think that this is good because I think that the Celtic Cross is a wonderful reading spread that you can utilize, but I also really like being able to split it up and focusing on the first 6 cards. So we have you, which is going to be the very first card. Now, the card number 2 is going to be like the challenge in this situation. So we have the 3 of Pentacles, and we'll just put it kind of crossing, basically, which is essentially why they call it the Celtic Cross. Now we have card number 3, which is going to be the energy in the past. So we're going to put that on the left-hand side of the deck. So we have the Queen of Swords reversed. Hopefully I have enough room. I'm like, hold on, I may have to like zoom out a little bit. So hold on, we'll do it like this. My desk is a mess, don't judge me. Busy girl. All right, so card number 4 is going to be the energy of the future. So that's going to be on the right-hand side. So we're going to have the 8 of Cups. And then the root is going to be under. So again, if you have experience with the Celtic Cross, we have the Sun. I'm like, I'm running out of room. That's the only thing with these bigger spreads. Sometimes I'm like, I need to use smaller cards so that you guys can kind of see all of it. And then above is going to be the best hopes or the goal. So this is going to be the top card. And we have the 9 of Swords, of course, because it's never going to be a nice reading for me. All right, so I'm going to kind of talk about how I would read this, which is something that I like to do with these like example tarot spreads, so that it can kind of help you feel a little bit more comfortable with your readings, especially if you're someone that's a little bit more new, or maybe that you struggle with like very focused types of spreads. So the very first card we got is going to be me, right? So you, basically. So here we have the Hierophant or the Wise One in this deck. Essentially, I think it's funny because I am a Taurus, so this is like my indicator card. This is also a card that can talk about traditional, kind of like more rigid, governing kind of energies. This can really talk about like religious figures. This can talk about government. This can talk about like what it is that you believe in, as well as like a lot of like what you're learning and what you're willing to kind of teach others in different ways. Now, just to kind of give you a little bit of context about me individually as a person, when I was younger, I grew up very religious in the Catholic Church. I had the intention of wanting to be a nun at one point, which is kind of funny doing what I do now. I was in the military, so I'm a disabled veteran. And I've also worked in special education, things like that. So it's funny because I am very much the archetypes of this card. So it is very much an indicator card in the sense of maybe it's not how I like to identify myself, but whenever I do see this card, I'm like, yes, I am a sun sign Taurus. So it is also that kind of energy. So here I have it kind of explaining who I am as an individual. So I am the wise one, so to speak. Now, the challenge in this situation is going to be the 3 of Pentacles, which is a card to me very much of collaboration, reaching out, finding, other people to kind of support you in different ways, while also really understanding that the material, the physical, our health, our sense of our physical manifestation, career, work, things of that nature, we can't really find a lot of success on our own. It is something that maybe collectively we need to kind of come together in order to grow. And I will say that this is something I'm currently struggling with, is a situation in my other business where I've been really trying to find the right help and have come up short repeatedly, even though I'm like, I've been asking the universe. I don't know why it's not something that is really coming together the way that I would like for it to. So it is kind of funny that it is kind of calling me out a little bit on that like, yes, I do need help, or I need to not take on continuously more work or more things that are inhibiting me from being able to live a much more balanced life, which is something I have really been struggling with the last couple of months. So we move on to card number 3. This is going to be the energy. Oh, wait, no, card number 3. I always read it wrong. I always want to go under. So this is the energy of the past. So here we have the Queen of Swords reverse. Now, I know the Queen of Swords is typically associated with like air signs and things like that, but it is a card I deeply associate with. I feel like I can kind of come off a lot of this way in my day-to-day life. A lot of people, can kind of say I'm a little bit cold or more analytical, logical, things of that nature. So this being reversed is very interesting because it's the energy of the past. It's more of like, maybe this is saying that I haven't really been in what is logical and what is analytical. Maybe I haven't really been empowering myself and really understanding that I am the one that really gets to choose what moves forward and what happens. So maybe I've been a little bit disconnected. And I will say that with some of the choices that I've made in the last couple of months, I have noticed this, that I've been less of this sort of energy and more like trying to be very open and kind to others in ways that maybe won't always be of benefit for me. So it has felt very much like I've wasted my time in some situations, and I haven't been more cutting, if that makes sense, because I do get a little bit of anxiety. I've never been like in charge of other people, if that makes sense. And so I don't like the feeling like I have to be very like direct and what comes off as mean or cruel, because that is something I have kind of metabolized within myself. That a lot of people have always said I'm too blunt, I'm too straight up. And so I think the energies of the past is saying that maybe I'm not stepping fully into my Queen of Swords energy, and that is something that is affecting the current situation, and why I can't really find the sort of help that I'm looking for is that maybe I just need to be very just like direct, blunt, cutting, and just logical, versus like trying to be too focused on I want to help and I want to be this, and that's not always good business sense, if that makes sense. I don't know. Anyways, so card number 4 is going to be the energy of the future, which is the 8 of Cups, which is a card of like moving on, emotional, like not disturbance, but maybe acceptance of choosing to kind of say like, you know what, I'm not going to sit here and continue to wait and be disillusioned by the choices that are made available to me at this point. And that is something that I've been kind of considering as well, is whether I want to continue on the route that I'm on, or just kind of say, you know what, F it. I'm going to move forward, and whoever's going to join me can join me. Whoever isn't, it's really not for me. And I'm not just going to continuously have like this hope that someone will be as passionate about what I'm doing as I am. So there is a little bit of like this weird sense of just trying to kind of like let it go and not hang on to this energy. So for the root, finally, card number 5, this is, essentially it's the sun, right? So someone's saying like, it's more of like, I want to shine, I want warmth, I want to grow. It's something that really is enjoyable to me. It's something where I have a lot of fun. And that is a lot of like what my other business is about, is really about feeling good about the work that I'm doing, while also kind of coming in and bringing a lot of warmth and joy into the spaces that I'm going into. So it is very much like saying like, hey, this is what you're wanting, right? And so if right now you're not having some of that because you're too in your head about stuff, or you're too focused on the emotionality of it, maybe you need to let some stuff go so that you can really kind of get back to the root, which is very much about understanding and connecting to that part of yourself. Now, finally, card number 6, best hopes and goals, is the 9 of Swords, which is not a very positive card, if that makes sense. Not that I'm saying that there's like negative cards, but there are, I mean, the scope of life and the spectrum of human emotions is not always going to be happy and go lucky, and it's a state, but it's not a constant state, if that makes sense. And so I think that this is interesting to have this, like my best hopes or goals is that maybe I need to work on some of my anxieties and some of my fears. And that is something that I have really been struggling with. So it is almost like showing like this is something that's above me. Now, obviously, if you're someone that's like, maybe I need a little bit of clarity on this, pull another card. You know, you can make it a 7-card spread or just pull a clarifier. So like, I'm just going to say, okay, what's a clarification on this? Is that I have this fear. So here I have the Muse of Emotions, or this is going to be the King of Cups card. So I think that this is almost saying like, maybe I need to understand that I get to really focus on how I want to feel about things. I think with the 9 of Swords, especially with the best hopes or goals, is that maybe, and I will admit this, I have not really had a like business plan, goal set, things like that. I'm kind of looking at things and just kind of like flying by the seat of my pants. I don't have like a, oh, this is where I want to be in a month. This is where I want to be in 6 months or whatever, which is probably not the smartest way of going about things, especially now that I've been in business for the last 4.5 months with my second business. But even with like my original business, which is the readings and stuff like that, I've never really had a business plan. I've just let it be what it needs to be. And here I am just kind of winging everything and trying to figure it out. So I think that this is almost saying like, I need to kind of figure out how to be a little bit more emotionally mature as far as like what's going on, instead of being so focused on what hasn't worked out, what isn't happening, what hasn't really come together. So while this isn't like the most clarifying spread, it is nice to have maybe a starting point. And then you can also pull the last 4 cards, that, go on with the Celtic Cross. If you want more clarification. I also like to kind of look at the entire story as a whole and kind of focus on what is it really telling me? I mean, I have pentacles, I have swords, I have cups. And then I have 2 major cards. And so it's telling me like, there's a lot of stuff that maybe I'm in my head about. I'm too focused on like the physical. And so maybe I've lost a little bit of that creative spark, that warmth, that joy. Maybe I'm forgetting that like when I focus on what makes me happy and what brings me joy, it makes everything else work out. And I don't have to be so focused on what isn't working out and what this will look like for me. Because I will say right now, it's looking a little bit dark. In the sense of, I don't really know how I'm going to continue at the pace that I've been at, because it just isn't really working out. And so I'm having to kind of make some decisions that don't always make the most sense, but I'm having to just kind of like be very intentional about the choices that I'm making with this business. So let me know if you've ever broken up the Celtic Cross like this to just do like the first 6 cards to kind of see if that's something that helps you understand what's going on with your situation. Let me know if there's other 6-card spreads that you really enjoy. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me and pulling some cards with me. So I hope you have a good one. Please take care, stay safe, and as always, make good choices. Bye.